If you like this channel and what I do here, please help to support my work by checking out one of my books, available from Lulu Publishing and Amazon.com. Thank you. Hiya folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, joined by Dan Ryan. How you doing, mate?
Very Christmassy.
Very Christmassy. This is our mystery Secret Santa Christmas sci-fi show special that we're going to be available on Christmas Day. We are recording this
very early
in October because information has been coming my way about that the UK is heading for an imminent lockdown. The information I've been getting is that it's going to be a month from some sources. Other sources are telling me that this is in for the rest of the year. So obviously, because of all the draconian measures and Boris
putting us on the naughty
stuff, and all that crap, you know, as if we haven't got enough misery in the world. So we decided that we'd get together now while we still can. Just in case, to be on the safe side. It's probably going to happen. I'm pretty certain it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, I'm it's almost a foregone conclusion that it's going to happen. Yeah. But for now, so this is our Christmas special, ready for Christmas Day. What we've done is we have watched. This has been a bit difficult one because there's not that many examples, are there, of things?
There aren't. No. It took
Christmas science fiction type things, or Christmas science fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, that sort of thing. But we managed to find 10. We're not going to discuss all of them here because we didn't want to do a video about 10 different, because we'd be here for
no one on
hours.
Christmas Day wants to watch like a 5-hour video.
And we have in here 10 examples, all wrapped up. So we didn't see like the shapes of the boxes or anything like that. We had somebody wrap them up for us. But we're going to pick 4. You're going to pick 2. I'm going to pick 2. So
we picked 10. We've watched 10.
Yeah.
But we're only going to be picking
so we've got to remember. We remember the 10 obviously.
Yeah.
But 6 of them are going to be irrelevant for this video. But we're going to have 4.
Let's hope we didn't focus on those ones that aren't picked.
the ones that we really enjoyed as well, and they're not in there. So go on then. You go first. The tenor in there. If you get
for
now, looking just.
We'll go for this one.
Okay.
Whatever.
Do you
this one. Yes.
Unwrap it then. See what we've got.
This feels weird in October. The Twilight Zone. The new
Twilight Zone from the 1980s.
Gotta change my hat.
Okay.
What's my Twilight Zone hat?
You got a Twilight Zone hat. Because you got your turkey hat at the moment.
This one.
Oh, actually, that's very apt. That's very apt for this episode.
So the Twilight Zone.
So this is from season 1 of the Twilight Zone. I have the box set there. There's DVDs. But this episode is Night of the Meek. Yes. It's a remake of Night of the Meek from the 1950s, late 1950s or 1960s Twilight Zone. But the first one is a classic, but I actually prefer this one. And people will say, "How dare you? That's sacrilege! You're not allowed to do that," kind of thing. But this is a great episode. It's very sort of whimsical, which I'm kind of glad about because it's nice to have a bit of whimsy. I mean, some of the stuff that we watch is very dark as well. Out of the 10, Richard Mulligan playing a department store Santa Claus. He's a bit of a drunk, isn't he? Do you want to run with this one?
Yeah. So he's they're all in their department store. They're waiting for Santa to come back from his break or whatever. He's actually just on the piss.
He's liquid dinner.
So he comes back to the store. They're like, "You're fired." There's a little bit where he's like, "I've got no money," and then
in the bar,
and then $2 bills magically appear
in his pocket,
and he gives them to some kids outside. And then he goes home on the piss a bit more. He goes to take his rubbish out, and then toys start falling out. So he gives them to some carol singers that were just there, and then the owner of the department store comes through, and he sees loads of people celebrating in the streets with loads of lights.
Yeah, because he's driving home through the neighbourhood, isn't he? Yeah, he's like thinking, how are these poor people managing to get new bikes and all this kind of thing?
and he goes in to a building which he sees loads of people coming in and out of, and then drunk alcoholic Santa is sat there giving everyone stuff out of his trash bag.
And then he's like this thing where he's like, we're running out of eggnog, we need more eggnog, and he just pulls a jug of eggnog out of the plastic bag, and like, hey, have this.
But yeah, then they're like, you stole all this stuff from our store, and all this stuff. And then he magics up receipts. Yeah,
because he gets the police there, doesn't he? But he's suddenly got the receipts in the bag as well. And
he finishes up after that, giving everyone all the stuff, they all leave. They see the owner looking depressed outside. So he gives him the coat that he wants for his wife and a signed baseball from his favourite team or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he goes home after this. His apartment looks really nice and that now instead of old and shitty.
Yeah.
And then he
I never noticed that actually. I never noticed that was the case. Yeah, go on.
And then he goes to take his beard off, but it won't come off.
And you can clearly see that it's a fake beard. I mean, but he's like going.
He's like
trying to pretend that he can't get it off. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and then he basically turns into dust. He's Santa Claus.
Through the magic of really, really bad 80s video
awful effects. And then goes up the chimney and. Yeah, basically then, so he becomes Santa Claus. Yeah. And you hear the store owner is like, and he's going, oh, you can hear him all right, and he's like, oh, he's like, I mean, it's a proper slice of Christmas cheese. Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that we watched, including this one, that they were great for the time. I would argue that since things like the Hallmark Channel and all that have done these stories to death.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's a really nice person wants to help people out, and then at the end he's like really Santa Claus or becomes Santa Claus. I mean, it's been done to death. But certainly back in the original Twilight Zone, I think it was an original story then. I don't think anybody had ever done anything quite like that before. And I think even by this point in the early to mid 80s, you know, it was still quite novel. It was quite original. Great cast. Richard Mulligan as Santa, for want of a better way of putting it, and William Atherton playing the store owner, who's forever. I mean, he's been shitloads of things, but forever immortalised as the EPA guy from Ghostbusters. The original. That's true. This man has no dick. That line is fantastic. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, he's a proper. I mean, he tends to play a lot of those kind of slimy, horrible, devious, not particularly pleasant type characters. I know he has played quite friendly characters in things, but he did tend to get sort of typecast as those type of roles. And he's playing this character again here in this. But he comes good at the end, you know. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much to give him a coat for his wife and a baseball, but, you know, all of a sudden he believes in the magic of Christmas, you know. But, it's a great little story. Yeah. It's a nice little piece of Christmas sci-fi fantasy. Like I say, I'm a big fan of the 80s Twilight Zone. I think there's some great writers as well. I mean, J. Michael Straczynski, who went on to do Babylon 5. I mean, he worked on loads of different things. He worked on the real Ghostbusters cartoon during but he was basically certainly head of the writing room, effectively the showrunner by season 3. But this one is this screenplay was adapted by Rockne S. O'Bannon, who did, I mean, for me, Farscape, but he's done loads of other things, you know. So it's got some real sort of pedigree to this. Acting, writing, you know. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about that one. We'll leave that one there for now. We're done with that. Okay then, so we're going to move on to the next one. So I'm going to get the Secret Santa box.
We get in next!
I get in. Okay. Right. So look what this one is. If I can get it open. Here we go, what have we got? Ah! Okay. Right. We have Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. Season 1.
Hat change.
Hat change?
Hat change.
Episode is...
Quite fitting.
Santa 85, yeah, Santa 85. Right then, so Santa 85 is another one that's very similar to the Twilight Zone. This is from Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories, a show from the mid-80s, obviously, 85. Steven Spielberg's little opus that he attempted to sort of do his own version of the Twilight Zone. Great little show, ran for 2 seasons, had some great actors in it, great directors, great writers.
It's too itchy.
It's
too itchy. It's so itchy.
Okay. Great story. Santa Claus goes to do his rounds in Christmas in 1985, and he goes into this house that's had like a new security alarm system installed, and he sets the system off, and the police turn up and they arrest him. And they take him off to the cells, and the deputy tries to get his prints, but the ink doesn't touch his feet, he can't get the prints and that kind of thing. And the chief police chap, played by Pat Hingle, great actor, he's like really grumpy, like Scroogey Christmas, and Santa's like, oh, did I ever let you down when you was a kid and all that? And he was like, well, yeah, it was the first of many, many disappointments in my life. And he tries to sort of like install the Christmas spirit in him again, but he's having none of it. And then the kid that's at the house, he realised that it was the real Santa. Realises that Santa's left his reindeer in his sleigh in their back garden. Nobody else sees it, but he does. So he goes and gets the sleigh, and then ties the rope to the police station.
Very loosely.
But manages to pull the entire window and wall down. Santa's in there with a couple of department store vagrant Santas as well, drunks. They run
the one from the Twilight Zone episode.
So he gets away, and the deputy police chases the vagrant Santas, and Pat Hingle chases the real one. He tries to, you think he's going to mow down the reindeer with his police car.
He's like head on towards him.
Yes,
he's just like that. I'm going to fucking kill him.
But it doesn't happen, and he gets out, and then he realises that it's the real Santa, because it takes off, doesn't it? It flies around.
It flies over him. So.
And he's like, oh, bloody hell, it is the real Santa. And Santa drops down a present for him, and it was this toy Buck Rogers gun thing that Pat Hingle wanted when he was a kid. So he believes in Christmas, and then all of a sudden, conveniently out of nowhere, come these... We've got convenient carolers, haven't we, in these two episodes? It's a bit weird, actually, that we pulled that one out straight away after that. It wasn't planned.
Ten possibilities, and you get them too.
It wasn't planned, yeah. Very similar stories. And then Pat Hingle joins the carol singers, and he's like, deck the halls! And he's like...
It's kind of funny, because none of the others are singing. They're all just walking in silence.
All of a sudden they've just stopped and they're in silent, and he's just like howling away in the street. Again, great little story, but nothing really much to it, but it's that nice little Christmas whimsy. Again, another one that's probably been done to death nowadays on the Hallmark Channel, but it was something a bit more original back then. It's not... I would say it's not a good example of episodes from Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. There are some great stories in Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. There's some shit ones as well, but it's a middling one. It's all right, and for the purposes of what we're doing here today, it's a nice little example of sort of sci-fi fantasy Christmas themed.
Yes.
So, and anything you wanted to say about it other than that? No. There's not really a lot to say, is there?
No, it's quite similar to
it's a nice little story. Nice little story. So then, right? Do you want to do? Another one for us?
Yeah.
So have a root around in the box.
See what we can get. See what we get. We'll go with this.
Okay.
And this is. And I open it. I'm hoping this one got out.
Right. We're going into dark territory now. We're going into some...
But I'm glad I pulled this one out.
Nice whimsy. So let's show this one. We have Black Mirror, White Christmas.
You hat.
No.
It doesn't fit very well.
So, seeing as you've picked this one, do you want to go with this one? Give us a bit of a description of the story.
I'd watched this episode a long time ago when I watched all the Black Mirror, and I'd completely forgotten everything. That it existed, basically. I'd forgotten everything that happened in it.
When we did our watch through of all these things, it was the first time I'd watched it for quite some time as well. So I'd forgotten a lot. I did the basic thing, but got them.
But so it starts off with two people in this cabin thing in the Antarctic. You don't really know what they work as, but they barely speak to each other. So they start. They're gonna. Oh, this is too tight. I need to stop. I'll go with this one.
Yeah, I'll go back to that one.
Go back to this. He was hurting my head, that one. What was I saying?
So the cabin in the Arctic Circle, or wherever it is. Two guys in there.
Yeah, they don't really talk to each other very often. So the one tries to start a conversation, and he basically says, you know, people who have had successful lives don't really end up doing whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
So he tries to talk to the other one, but the other one doesn't want to say anything. So he starts to talk about himself, why he's there, and it's he has this service with people that he like live streams it to as a paid service.
It's a weird type thing, isn't it? Because it's almost like guidance for people to go on dates, but they hope that people will end up having a bit of the old up and downy with.
It's like paid porn,
but people are watching it. That's the reward for the people that are paid to watch. This
kind of
thing going on. Yeah,
but he guides them, hooks them up, and he finds this outcast girl, sort of, that he likes.
Well, it's not him. He's like tutoring this lad.
Yeah, the lad.
The lad goes out on this Christmas party thing, works party. Or
he
something.
likes the look of this slightly
girl.
edgy looking female.
Yeah,
and you know, they hit it off a little bit. Seems like it's going quite well. She's like, "Oh yeah, come home with me," and they have a nice little drink, and she mounts him. And
she starts talking about, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet somebody like with the voices in their head. I have the voices. His voices in his head, and them talking to him in his ear." But she thinks he's like her, like hearing voices in her head and all that.
And he starts to cough a little bit.
Yeah.
And he starts to feel quite uncomfortable. And the guy guiding him is like, "Yo, get the fuck out now."
Yeah.
But she keeps saying like, "Yes, you're like me. And he's trying to say, "I'm not." And then, you know, she says she's basically poisoned him.
Yeah.
And then she drinks it herself.
Yeah, it's like, we'll die together. We'll die together. The voices will stop and all this kind of thing.
And then after that, you know, he tries to destroy all the evidence. His wife catches him. He explains everything he's been doing. And there's like a system sort of thing set up where everyone's got these, like a phone in their eye.
Yeah.
And she blocks him.
Yeah.
So he can't see or hear her, and she can't see or hear him.
Yeah.
So it's just a fuzz.
It's just like a fuzz with like, you can't hear what they're saying either, and that. Yeah.
And that was quite dark.
Yeah, it's very dystopian, and it says a lot about social media, doesn't it, as well, and like Facebook and Twitter and all this kind of cancel culture. I mean, this is cancel culture to the extreme.
Yeah.
You know, like if somebody blocks you, you can't see them again unless they remove the block, and if they leave that block on permanently, which is where we go with the next bit of story. So carry on. So
and he basically after that says that he's left permanently on block, like he can't see his wife, and then she takes it. She gets divorced, and they and the block, because it was a legal block, that goes onto the kid as well. And then that's basically the first story there.
It's a little anthology of three stories, isn't it? Yeah.
And then they're talking a little bit again, and he's sort of saying, you know, but you can't guess what job I do.
Right.
And then that starts the second story, basically. Which is he's basically just describing his daily life at work, so the other guy can try and guess what it is. So it starts off with this woman in a hospital bed, and she has some sort of surgery, and it's quite dark actually. Yeah,
because she thinks she's died, doesn't she?
Well,
she thinks she's died,
she's
and
like,
she wakes up and she's in like
awake. You're about to do surgery. I'm awake.
Inside this device, this egg or something.
And she gets put in an egg, sort of.
Yeah.
And then you basically find out that she's an Alexa, an Amazon.
Yeah, she's
Echo.
like an AI version of the original person.
Yeah.
The person didn't die in the hospital. It like made a copy of her, an AI copy of her, and put it in this egg to be like an Alexa for the original woman that had the copy made. But she thinks she's the real person, doesn't she?
He just tortures her and breaks her, basically, to try and get...
Because one of the things he does, which ties into the end of the story, is he can accelerate time on it.
So he first does it for a
week or something, and then he does like 6 months or a year.
It's 6 months after that.
Yeah, which is only like an hour for him or whatever, or a couple of minutes.
It was like 30 seconds or something. Like
but she thinks like 6 months has gone now, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want, just don't do that to me again." You know, so it's like a torture device, isn't it?
And you basically see her, and she's just doing everything for like the original person, just doing like a toast, waking her up in the morning, planning her schedule out for the day, that sort of stuff.
Right, quite appropriate actually. We talked about Black Mirror, Black Rooms. We were suddenly getting very, very dark there.
That really dark story we were just talking about.
Yeah, of course the lights to fail on us. So yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it for that story. It's a really like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's like nightmare material.
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah. And then we go on to the other guy. Finally, decides to talk and explain why he's there, and it starts off just sort of like normal stuff with his girlfriend, having like a meal with people from her work and that, and when he's emptying the bin. Like the bin bag rips and he sees a pregnancy test. He goes up. He's like, "Okay, yay, you're pregnant."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't want it."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And they have a bit of an argument, and she blocks him.
Yeah.
And he starts getting really angry, like throws a vase or something.
And he's all like,
yeah,
to her.
And then he like storms out, and then in the morning she leaves and drives off in the car. Like he goes to her work to try and find her, and he can't.
Because it goes on for quite some time, doesn't it?
And then he
finds her.
And then she's like, get him away from me, call the police sort of thing. Yeah. So the police are called. She gets him legally blocked.
Yeah.
Basically.
Forever.
Yeah. And like he'll get arrested if he goes near her. So he realizes that she goes to her dad's cabin.
At
house
Christmas.
thing at Christmas, so he goes there not to like speak to her or anything, just to see her, and sees that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So he goes back.
She's had a child. Hasn't she had the child?
The first time
she's pregnant.
She's still pregnant, okay. So she kept it.
Okay.
And then after that, the child.
Yeah.
But
the child is blocked.
The child is blocked as well because it's like legal.
Legal. Yeah.
And then he keeps going back every year. But one time before he goes back, she dies in a plane crash.
Yeah, something like that.
There was a crash, so it's something like that. So he's like...
Doesn't that remove the block?
It does. It removes the block. Yeah. So he can see pictures of her now.
Yeah.
And he can see his son or daughter. You don't know what it is at that point because he can't see.
I think he realises that this is a daughter.
Oh, after like the third year,
because of the shape of her hair or something. Was it a dress or something like that? Yeah.
After like,
he's making an assumption, but he just assumes that it's
and that's fucking horrible because that's after like 3 years.
Yeah.
But he's like, okay, I can actually see my daughter. So she's playing in the snow. He goes there. He walks up to her to give her a gift. She turns around and she's Asian.
She's Asian.
She's not white, basically. So and you realise that.
And that the friend that they had the party with at the beginning, he was like the father of the child.
Yeah, he was. She was cheating.
She was having an affair.
Yeah. And then he's like, what the fuck? And he has a bit of a breakdown. He goes into the house, follows the girl into the house to talk to the father, her father.
Yeah.
And
so it's his father-in-law, effectively.
What would have been
his father-in-law?
And then he's like, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't got a daughter. I threw all the letters out before she saw them.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And then they have a little bit of an argument, and he hits him with a snow globe thing, and he dies. Then it sort of comes out of that story then, and you see them two talking again.
Yeah.
And he's like, what happened to the girl, sort of thing. Yeah. And he says the girl went out to try and look for help and died not really very far away.
Like in the snow or something, effectively, yeah. Hypothermia, presumably, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And then he's like, do you confess to this? And
he doesn't quite word it like that, but he's
effectively. He's like, so you did this then?
Yeah,
and he was like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, pull me out.
Yeah, we've got the confession.
Pull me out. And then it's so so everything he was doing before still happened, but he's helping the police to get a confession out of this person because he won't actually talk.
So what it was like the middle story. It was like an AI copy of him.
Yeah.
In like the egg.
Yeah.
And he was sent in there to get the confession.
Yeah.
But the real version of him, don't you see him in the cell or something like that?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we've got the confession now. What happens to the real version of him? He was like put to death or something. Or I don't know.
I assume he just went to jail or something. Right. You don't really see it. It just says that they've got the confession.
Yeah.
But then they're like the AI version. They're basically he starts playing the music and he's gonna go speed up time. I think it was like.
They leave it on over Christmas, but he leaves like 1,000 years or something. Yeah.
It was like 1,000 years an hour or something.
Trapped in that cabin on his own.
And he's like, should we turn it off or should we leave?
Was it Slade or
it was.
Wizard, or I can't remember which one it was. I always get them too mixed up. Wish it could be Wish it could be Christmas every day. Yeah.
And he's like, should I kill it or should we just leave it on? She's like, leave it on over Christmas.
Yeah.
And it just shows him sort of
in like a loop,
going
smashing
mental.
the radio, going mental, going crazy. Yeah. I mean, the argument you could say is that that's the AI version of him.
It's still very dark.
Yeah.
And then after that, the
guy who gets the confession,
whichever way it was, right? Yeah. The guy who gets the confession from the first two stories, he's like, okay, I did you a favour. Am I free to go now? Like,
can you let me off for my crime thing that I did in the first one? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You're free to go, but we're putting you on the list. And they're like, he's like, what list? And it's basically the sex offenders register, but it's slightly different, and you're blocked by everyone.
Everybody, yeah.
And to everyone, you just appear as like a red blur, basically.
So he's walking around in the street,
and everyone's
all just fuzzed around him. And to them, he's
they're all just like, that's a nonce or something.
Yeah. Which, funnily enough, is an episode of the Twilight Zone in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think that might be a remake of a story or a reimagining of a story. Very similar.
Yeah.
Where characters go. I'll have to rewatch it again, but the basic gist, I think it's that they go blind and they can't see anybody, and as punishment for their crime.
Oh right, yeah.
Very similar story. So I think Charlie Brooker ripped off a bit of, but Charlie Brooker generally riffs on the Twilight Zone with Black Mirror anyway.
Yeah.
But sorry, finish up and then we'll talk.
But that it basically ends there. Everyone's just like keeping away from him, and he can't communicate with anyone else. It just sort of ends there.
Yeah.
And I also don't know how I forgot about this episode because it's really fantastic.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Black Mirrors are.
Yeah.
And Black Mirror is a really quite a profound show. Talking about Black Mirror, what's interesting is when the 15,000 Merits, I think the episode's called, the one with the girl who has to get her points up so she can sing in the singing contest. Did you know that one?
Yeah.
And she goes out because they're all watching them in their little lockdown cells. They have to be locked in for so long. They're watching. They have to watch certain amounts of things to get points and all that. Yeah. And one of the shows is this singing talent contest type thing, and she goes on it. One of the judges is like a porn for the porn channel thing.
Yeah.
So eventually he gets her on that instead. But what people have said, could you imagine the day when you've got like a talent show, and you're no longer allowed to have this? I remember reading the article. This was like 4 years ago. Can you remember the day when there's no audience? It's all like avatars, virtual avatars on screens behind. Because she goes in there thinking it's going to be a real audience, and it's all like the avatars of all the people in the cells and that, right? And then recently, I don't watch these types of programs. I should make this very, very clear because, like the reality shows, I can't stand them. But I did have the misfortune of seeing a little bit of, is it Britain's Got Talent or something like that? They've got Talent 1 or X Factor, whichever ones they are now. And because of current circumstances, all the audience is at home, watching on their screens. This is dark.
It's really dark.
This is dark, this story. And as the best science fiction always does, it warns us about the future. And a lot of Black Mirror episodes do that.
There's very prescient. A lot of them are about that sort of social media kind of blocking thing.
Yeah, well, Nosedive wasn't the other episode, wasn't that the one she's what's her name? Bryce Dallas.
Is that the wedding one?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. Can't remember the name of the actress. Ron Howard's daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another one like that, isn't it? There's one about with a dating app. Would you think it's all real? They spend like an AI program decides how long they're going to be together for, whether it's half an hour or 5 years.
Yeah.
It's a great. I can't. Hang the DJ. That one was cool. It was great, fantastic.
Then there was the one in the newest season about when he kidnaps someone
higher
up.
That was to do with social media. That was dark. That was really, really dark. Yeah.
When he rings up the leader of whatever social media
thing it is on it. Yeah. I mean, that was a corker of a story. That was really good. So yeah, and I can actually it's that thing of how. I mean, I only use social media for generally just sharing the information that like when I do my research, when I do something new, the videos we do here. Yeah. That's only what I use social media for, because it's a useful tool to get information out there to other people to share. But I'm not one of these people who's put, I've just had a shit, I've just eaten this, I've just gone for a walk, and commenting on everything and anything that's going on in the world, like it's like, do you watch that episode of The Orville? The one where that society where they majority rule, which is very similar kind of thing, where society basically decides whether people live or die based on like a social media voting system. It's a fantastic episode. This is in the best tradition of classic science fiction and that kind of thing, and what if scenarios and dystopian futures and all that. It warns us this is where social media is going. I'm not saying that there'll come a day where you'll have a device in your eye that will allow you, that people will just be blocked, but it could happen.
It could.
It could happen.
Hopefully not.
And with the cancel culture nowadays and things like that,
God.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine what that would be like if that suddenly was taken offline into the real world? Because it's going there now. And we're not going to get into that conversation. Cause
at least I could do it with Justin Bieber songs we're playing. Just silent. Ah, bliss.
Yeah. To block people like that would be an absolute blessing. But there you go. But it's a fantastic story. It's very dark. It kind of skews us off from the theme of Christmas, but it is a Christmas story. It's just a very, very dark, dystopian Christmas story.
I mean, the first two aren't as... Well, no, the first one is Christmassy. The second one isn't.
No, not really. No.
I don't think there's any mention of it.
No.
But, the other two are.
Yeah. It's and this is one of the reasons why I think it's very, very important to talk about science fiction that makes a statement. It serves a very, very important purpose, especially now.
Yeah.
When we talked about stuff with the Twilight Zone video we did, there are so many things going on in the world that are absolute batshit crazy, and you feel like you really wish that people would just stop, catch their breath, step back from it, look at what the hell is going on around you. Can you not see, for the love of whatever, that this is not right. This should not be like this. This has got to change. This has got to stop.
Yeah.
In so many different ways, the world is hurtling into. Well, I'll say it here: the Great Reset. That's going to happen. We need to fight against it happening, but it will happen, and we're going to be in some sort of quasi mishmash of Brave New World in 1984. The way we're going, we're almost there now, and I wonder if. It'd be interesting to see whether these kinds of science fiction will still be around if that world comes to pass. Will they be frightened by letting people think? By seeing something that makes them think anymore? Or will we just get Star Trek Discovery and Doctor Who as it is now, and CW and, nothing that really makes you think? It's an important question.
I will migrate to the forest if all is left is.
And I think that's why we need our physical media as well, because if that happens, if that stops, we need a reminder of the days when this genre did actually say something.
It's going to happen soon. Buy up your favourite shows.
Yeah. Get your shows on physical media, because they're already labelling so many things as being culturally inappropriate now, and I worry for the day when truly profound, truly good subversive, not bad subversive, but good subversive science fiction and genre is gone, and people won't. Yeah. And their brains will just fall out of their heads. People's brains will just be scooped out with an ice cream scoop. There'll be nothing to make people think.
Well, you haven't been on Twitter. That's already happening already.
Well, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. So with that, we have one more. Is it my pick or your pick? I can't remember.
Yours.
It's my pick.
It's a new hat. It's a new hat.
Around a bit. Let's get. We'll have that one. We'll have that one. Right.
What have we got?
What have we got? hopefully it'll be something that's not dark, that's not dark and dystopian, and not like complete whimsy. And my prayers have been answered because we have something that sits lovely in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, season 7, and this one is The Snowman. The Snowman, classic story from the good days of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, because I have some notes here.
Yeah.
This hasn't been a particularly recent rewatch for me, because we had to stagger the way we watched all the 10 things. So
it's quite difficult to watch 10 things in one go.
I have notes. I have a big book full of notes for all the things that we've watched, but I need to jog my memory on this one a little bit. Right, so this story takes place in around about 1890 something. It's like late 1800s, and we meet Dr. Simeon. We see him as a child first of all, but then we see him as an adult, played by Richard E. Grant. Plays a great part in this. And he's been talking to this like sentient snow. It's not the crap sentient snow from Star Trek Discovery. This is a good sentient snow. This is good sentient snow.
I literally forgotten about that already.
It's not parasitic snow. This is snow that mirrors your consciousness and all that kind of thing, and it takes on your... Because he's like talking to the snowman as a child, and he's saying, I don't want to play with them children. He's like, you don't want to play with them children. Voiced by Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen. Does a great part in it. So we find out that this sentient snow is getting ready for an invasion of the Earth. And we meet the Doctor. It's Matt Smith's Doctor in this one. He's out and about in the night in Victorian England. I think it's Victorian in that area.
I think it is.
So he's out and about, and he bumps into Clara, who's working as a barmaid, Jenna Coleman. This is the second Clara of 3 versions, principally at that initial point that we see. The first one we saw as Oswald in the Assignment of the Daleks. And this is the second one, so it's Clara Oswald. And she's curious about him. She's working as barmaid. She comes out for some reason, and she's curious about him. And she's following about. He's a bit of a reclusive now, following. Is it the Angels in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Something like that, when Rory and Amy finally leave the series. So he's a bit of a recluse now. We see Madame Vastra and Jenny from the Paternoster gang, and they're out investigating Dr. Simeon as well. They encounter Dr. Simeon, and they talk to him about the sentient snow. But Simeon says, winter is coming. So we got like a Game of Thrones thing going on there, you know. And he says, and it's the last one that mankind will ever see, and there's nothing you lot can do about it. So they know he's up to something. Yeah. The Doctor is with Strax, the Sontaran, who's hilarious in this episode. He says, so he's saying, what should we do about this? And Strax is like, I suggest a full frontal assault with automated laser monkeys, scalpel mines, and acid. He's like, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to do that. You know? So Clara's locked inside the horse-drawn carriage because she saw the snowmen come to life out of the snow, and they were going to like attack. And the Doctor says to her, in your mind, picture them melting into water. So she does, but he doesn't want her to know what she's seen. So now he's going to use the memory worm on her. There's a bit of a plot device, but it comes into play at the end of the episode. So he's like, get the memory worm to Strax, and Strax is like, get the what? And he said, did you mess with the memory worm? No. Did you? What was I supposed to be looking for the memory worm? Use the gauntlet. Use the gauntlet. And then he says, right, okay then. This is, so I've got it. I've nearly got it. What have I got? What am I looking for? And he says, did you use the gauntlet? And he says, well, the gauntlet. Am I looking for the memory worm? So it goes on like this. Yeah. And Clara's like, is this what you're looking for? The gauntlet thing and all that? She's like, if you remove my memory, how am I supposed to defend myself? How am I supposed to remember what to do if the snowmen come again? And he's like, good point, so I'm not going to remove your memory. So he clears off. But Clara follows him into this like park thing, and he's like reaching around. He pulls a ladder down, and she follows him up, and it takes him up to like the TARDIS is sitting on a cloud. Yeah, I must say as well, the music in this episode is fantastic, and Murray Gold's music, Clara's theme, you know, that I can't remember humming it off the top of my head, but it stuck out to me when I rewatched it. Yeah, and I did put it in my notes. So she gets spooked, she returns to the ground, then Clara departs back to her pub, eventually she leaves, she gets changed into these governess clothes, and it turns out that she's governess for these 2 children, Francesca and Digby, who are the children of Captain Latimer, you know, very sort of 1890s, and they call her Miss Montague, and they say to her, do your secret voice, like, hello mate, she goes, Francesca's been having nightmares about their former governess who drowned in the pond on their property. and they didn't know she'd drowned, and the pond froze over, and she was frozen in the pond for like ages before they got the body out. And so Franny's nightmares are that the former governess is going to come back into existence. Clara goes looking for the doctor again, but this time she's met by Jenny, because she realises that there's a threat from all this that's going on and needs to do something about it. Jenny takes her to Madame Vastra. Vastra asks all these questions, but she has to answer with one word. Is that right? She has to answer with one word answers. No,
doesn't she have to answer all the questions with one
word? Yeah. And then she says to her at the end, "Can you sum it up with one word?" And she goes, "Pond." And it's like the pond, but it also is relevant to Amy Pond. So that's what swings the Doctor into action, basically. He goes to Simeon's Institute, pretending to be Sherlock Holmes, and he's banging on the glass globe with this great intelligence with his walking stick and all that. Simeon tries to get him out, but the Doctor realises that the great intelligence is there, it's a threat. Matt Smith outside Clara's, because he goes to Clara's house. When he's outside and Clara's waving at him, do you remember that? He's waving, and he's got this really like dopey look on his face. And he's almost like he's in love, and that. And it's just brilliant. The acting is fantastic with Matt Smith there. It's really good. He's on his way up to her. She's putting the children to bed, and then the ice governess appears in the room. And they think, oh God, it's gonna, and then the Doctor's there, and he's like, punch, that's the way to do it. The solid screwdriver. It melts briefly, but then it starts to reform again. Simeon's now outside the house, and he's blowing the sentient snow up into the air and all that kind of thing. So they're stuck in the house. The Paternoster gang turn up, and they put like this force field thing across the top of the stairs to stop the governess from coming down, but they've got temporarily. Simeon's like, give us the ice governess, because she's how we're going to manifest ourselves, and he's like, no. And Doctor and Clara lead her up onto the roof, because she's reformed, and he's moved the cloud with the TARDIS on to above the house, so they go up the ladder, and the governess follows them up, and the Doctor temporarily freezes the cloud so that the ice governess can't come up, and then he takes her into the TARDIS, and he says like, go on, say it. Everybody says it's bigger, and she goes, smaller on the outside. It's like, oh, wasn't expecting that, but it'll do. So that's a first, I think is the words he says. And he says to her, I never know why, I only know who. And he gives her the key to the TARDIS. So that, you assume then that she's going to be the companion. But that doesn't happen. Because the ice governess appears behind her, grabs her, pulls her off the cloud, and they fall down, hits the ground, and she's dead at that point. Strax brings her back, but only briefly. The Doctor picks her up off the ground with the TARDIS, takes her into the house. Strax puts her on life support, and he says to her, will you come away with me? And she's like, yeah. The Doctor is like, I'm going to deal with Simeon then. So he goes to the Institute. Simeon's back there. He recognises the great intelligence from the London Underground and all that, which is a throwback to the Patrick Troughton stories. 1967, Abominable Snowman, 1968, I think, Web of Fear. So the great intelligence is reflecting Simeon. It's darkness and it's loneliness and it's feeding on him. But it kind of like, Simeon thinks that there's a piece of the ice governess in that tin, the London Underground tin inside it, but it's not. It's the memory worm. And it sucks out all of Simeon's memories. And they think they've won, but then the Doctor realises that the great intelligence has been mirroring Simeon for so long that he's basically took over Simeon. So Simeon's possessed. So he tries to freeze the Doctor, and you think that's it. And then Clara dies, and the children start crying. And this is a really shit idea. But there's the rain is salt water. It's crying. It's not raining. I thought that was a cheesy thing. But it's salt water, and it melts all the thing, and then that basically gets rid of Simeon. And that's the end. And the Doctor says, it's not rain, it's crying. I thought, but there you go anyway. So he returns to the house. Clara's about to die. And then she says, run you clever boy, and remember. Which is what Oswin Oswald said in the first one. And it's like, and he's like, Clara Oswin Oswald. And he realises it's Souffle Girl from, it's Oswin from that episode. And then we jump to the present, and we see the graveyard of Clara from the 1890s, and we see another Clara walking around, which is set up for the rest of the series. And the Doctor says, "Watch me run." So he's got to find out what that's. And it's a fantastic setup for all that's to come.
Yeah.
Very controversial one for a lot of Doctor Who fans out there, because a lot of people say the Impossible Girl, the Clara storyline was shit. It was terrible. Clara was a crap character. Jenna Coleman was, I don't have that problem with Doctor Who.
I like her.
Yeah, I think Jenna Coleman is a fantastic actress. She's got lovely puppy dog eyes that you could literally just fall into. So I'm going to say that, but I don't care. She's pleasing to the eye to watch. But that aside, she's a great actress, and that I like Clara. I like the character Clara. I never had a problem with Clara. People say she was bullshit. She was basically a substitute for the Doctor in the end, and all this kind of thing. But there was never a point where I thought, even like when they brought her back after Face the Raven, where they they maybe should have killed her there in Face the Raven, and not brought her back again.
They probably
and paired her up with a Shilder at the end, because by virtue of pairing her up with Maisie Williams, who was never going to come back onto Doctor Who again after that, unless she gets no acting jobs in years to come. But who wants to go back to Doctor Who as it is now anyway? Who wants a Shilder? And I don't want any of them back in Doctor Who now until it's ended. This insanity of Doctor Who is ended, because the rumours that we're hearing lately, my God, they are determined to completely fucking destroy this programme, aren't they? And everything it stands for. And one of the things that I found, because like we say, we broke up watching things. When I watched this, I started watching again. I started watching the rest of the Clara from that, because it's been quite a long time. And I really enjoyed watching it. Hyde, Cold War, Nightmare in Celtic, Crimson Horror, the Name of the Doctor. And then you're going into like the Day of the Doctor and the Time of the Doctor. Then you're into the Peter Capaldi era and all that, And it's fantastic stories. I loved watching it. And there was a moment where I thought to myself, I suddenly felt really, really quite sad, because I thought, where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? I was with that series, despite how it did start to go in SJW even before Chibnall, but it felt realistic still. It didn't feel in the realms of lunacy, and it didn't feel like they were trying to dismantle and destroy and smash the entire
whenever there was any political stuff, it was still relatively natural.
Any time they were commenting on like LGBTQ, diversity, all that kind of, it felt, it was being done in a thoughtful way. Some people argue that it was a bit hammery. I don't think it really was.
I
never had a problem with Bill Potts. They talk about the fact that she was regularly mentioning the fact that she was gay. Didn't bother me.
She said that, and she was still a really good character.
Yeah, she's a great character. Yeah, I really like her. Bill Mackey was, Bill Mackey, was a great actress. I would have liked to have seen more of Bill Potts. Yeah, it's a shame it was only one season. My Doctor Who ends with Peter Capaldi's regeneration. I didn't even have a problem with Twice Upon a Time. People say that it mashes all over the first Doctor. Yes, it did make him look a bit of a sexist, misogynist sort of, but and that isn't really true of that first Doctor if you look back historically and watch those episodes. But I still liked the story. But from that point onwards, it all went horribly, horribly wrong. And anybody that says it's because they changed her into a woman, no, it's got fuck all to do with that. It's because the writing shit, the acting shit. The people that run the show and act on the show don't give a damn about what it stands for, the history of the show. She didn't even bother to research, and she never even watched it before. So how the hell are you supposed to even know what the character's about if you've never watched it?
Nah. Right, let me explain why Doctor Who's shit. Right now, I need you to do something for me who I was watching this. I need to go to the toilet, okay? Do whatever you do. Do whatever you need to do, okay? Wash your hands, okay? And then pick up a towel. What you are holding right now is a villain in Doctor Who. Now let that sink in. The towel monster, let that sink in.
Yeah.
And then
a bit of fluttery piece of material is a villain in an episode. Yeah.
You feel like it's quite late. You feel like going to bed. So you pick up your toothbrush. The thing you are brushing, a monster, is covered in that.
Teeth monster.
No,
it's just it's wrong on so many levels, and principally for me is this determination by some factions, a large number of people in this faction within the BBC seems to be determined to completely destroy everything that Doctor Who is. Everything. I mean, they haven't gone as far yet as to bring back Billy Piper, David Tennant, and then destroy them physically on screen to be seen. But I wouldn't put it past it happening soon. Apparently Captain Jack's coming back soon, even though he fits the political platforms that the BBC has got now, his character and the actor. I still think they're going to destroy him because he represents when Doctor Who was good. And you can't have anything that represents Doctor Who when it was good anymore. Because it can only be what Doctor Who is now that's good. That's the way they want it to be. It can only be what is now that's good. Everything before is just no. And I had to say that because it's been a while since I've said it, but it really brought it home to me when I watched this. I thought you have these moments of clarity sometimes where you suddenly and you just get overwhelmed by a wave of sadness. I felt sad, then I got angry, then I just went, nah, I'm done. And I've been in that dumb state for a long, long time since the fucking Timeless Children and all Timeless Child and all that shit. And I've rewatched some old Doctor Who since then as well. But I never had that feeling of that. All of a sudden when it just hit me, with the Snowman. I just thought, where did it all go wrong? I have that thought a lot just lately. I have these moments of revelation where I can be walking down the street looking around at the way the world's gone mad, and again I think I just feel overwhelmed by sadness and think, where did it all go wrong? And that seems to be happening a lot now in the world. But this definitely with Doctor Who. I don't really want to say any more than that about it, but it's just something that I needed to say. I felt really... It was lovely watching it. It was lovely watching it. It was a great story. But it did make me feel sad. Not the story. Yeah. Where we are now. Because you think to yourself, wouldn't it be great if it could be that again?
We're past good shit now.
No. I think if you decanonised everything of the Chibnall era, it's almost like it never happened. Brought new people in, new actors, new writers, people who actually appreciate and have some reverence and respect for what Doctor Who is. It could be, but under the current regime of the BBC, it's not going to happen. Now, until those lunatics that populate the BBC are gone, it's not going to happen.
All we need is to get a future Doctor or a past Doctor to get the TARDIS, right? Fly over where she's walking and just turn the engines on.
Yeah. I mean, I've said before in my head canon, Peter Capaldi was the last Doctor. Until if it never goes back to its former glory in any way, shape or form, then I can happily just say he didn't regenerate, he just died. That was the end.
Well, if you want to hear us rant about this a lot more, there is a long video of the last episode that we did.
Yes, we do have a video. Yeah, our review of Timeless Child, and is it Timeless Child or Timeless Child? I know all the episode titles, but that one I just
the one with the hilarious montage.
Yes, and our patented Cybermen Time Lord things that we had.
And a Saturday night.
Yeah. So unless there's anything else you wanted to say about this, we've done our 4.
We've done it. We have.
And shall we rate them?
Yes.
Okay then. So we'll start with. Let's get our collection of 4 together. So we'll start with the Twilight Zone. What did you think out of 10?
I think to be honest, Murray, I would probably have enjoyed it more if it was closer.
Yeah,
if it was in December or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
So I don't know, probably maybe like a 7.
Yeah. I'll go for 7
It's
as well.
nothing too special. But,
yeah, it's a great little story. It's got some really funny moments in it, and but it's cheesy. But yeah. So Santa 85.
I think perhaps probably about the same, to be honest. Probably a 7 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite Night of the Meek. I don't think it's quite as good. So I'm going to give it 6.5. Yeah. Not to be awkward, but it's just not quite as good. So Black Mirror, White Christmas. There's nothing wrong with this.
There isn't, yeah.
There's nothing wrong in this episode
10,
at all. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a 10. Yeah. And finally, The Snowman.
An 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the crying rain at the end. I do think it's... But then, of course, if that was something to give it fault, you would then say that the unrealism of... Well, I think they're quite real, actually, but the unrealism things that happen in Black Mirror would make it... Or Richard Mulligan turning into Santa at the end and then magically floating up the tree. So you can forgive things like that. They're plot devices, and they're not perhaps the very good ones sometimes, but but it's a 10. Yeah, purely. A lot of it was whimsy. It sets the feel for a Christmas story. Yeah. Far better than a lot of Christmas Doctor Who specials do, actually. Some of them are like they take place at Christmas, but they don't really feel like a Christmas episode. They've got lots of references to Christmas in it, but they don't feel. And there's some are barely Christmas.
That Doctor Mysterio one. That's barely.
They either happen at Christmas or they happen somewhere where there's a bit of snow.
Yeah.
It's like Time of the Doctor, which was the last Miss Smith one. It takes place in a snowy village that happens to be called Christmas, but that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's Christmas at the beginning where Clara's having a Christmas dinner. But this is set at Christmas. It's snowy. It's got all that like Christmas Carol Victorian vibe to it and everything. It's proper perfect Gothic Christmas sort of story. I love it. So that's it then.
Yeah.
That's our wonderful little 10. 4 out of 10. 4 out of the 10 anyway.
Yeah.
It's a shame we couldn't do all 10.
But we'd have been here for a very long time.
I mean, just a couple of honourable mentions. We'll mention a couple of others. We watched the episode of Quantum Leap, A Little Miracle. We watched the X-Files episode with Lily Tomlin when they're in the haunted house at Christmas. But that's really like not a Christmas. It just happens to be at Christmas. But yeah, it was difficult to find 10. It was difficult to find 10, but I'm glad that these were the 4 that came out.
I'm so glad that Black Mirror was picked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the Quantum Leap one is a good one. That would have been an interesting one to talk about. The X-Files one would have been interesting, but it's basically a Halloween episode almost. It's a haunted house story. It's not a Christmas story. It just happens to be at Christmas when it takes place. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah. So we've got a good 4 there, good pick. Yeah, so I'm glad those were the 4. Yeah, really pleased with that. So with that, all that's left to say is Merry Christmas. We hope you have a great one.
Merry Christmas from October.
Yeah, from October.
All the lovely toys you wanted.
But anyway, this will be going out on Christmas Day.
It will.
So for the benefits of the time jump, we will say Merry Christmas. We hope you have a good one. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you for all your support, and those people who have already subscribed. Those who haven't already, if you can, that'd be great. Like, share, all the rest of it. We really, truly appreciate it. And Dan and I will see you again very soon.
Yeah,
probably next year now. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where things lie between now and then. Yeah. For the purpose of this video.
From the video,
From when this video airs. Yeah. When this video goes out. Yeah. All right. So you take care. We'll see you all very soon. Bye for now. Merry Christmas.